Hello. So this video is for our 13.2 homework. So we're going to be finding the volume of rectangular prisms. So if we remember, our formula is length times width times height. So it says Keisha is building a raised flower bed around a tree. So you can see there's this section here that is not included in her box. So first we're going to explain how we would find the volume of soil she needs to fill this flower bed. So first I would find the volume of this entire thing, which is, whoa, that was a crazy 5. The length is 5, the width is 3 1/3, and the height, sorry, here is 1/4. So I'm going to find that entire thing. Then I'm going to find this little cutout piece, which has dimensions of 1/3 by 1/3, and the height is also 1/3. So length times width times height. And then since it's not included, I want to cut that out and subtract the little box from the big box. So now let's go ahead and solve this. So we need to make all of these improper. So that's 5 over 1. 5 divided by 1 is still 5. 3 times 3 is 9 plus 1 is 10 over 3. And we've got 1 over 4 here. And then we're going to subtract. These ones are already nice fractions. 1/3 times 1/3 times 1/4. So I'm going to let you do the numerators and I'll help with the denominators. So 1 times 3 is 3, times 4 is 12. So you'll need to do 5 times 1 times 10 to find that numerator. And then we're subtracting. I'll let you find those. 3 times 3 is 9, times 4 is 36. So we are going to actually need to make a common denominator, which we can make of 36. So how do we get from 36 to 36? Well, we times by 1. So whatever this number here is, we're going to times it by 1. How did we get from 12 to 36? Well, whatever this number is here, we times by 4. So we'll times that number by 4, and then we can subtract, and you may need to simplify when you are done. So since the problem gave us fractions, we can give the answer back as a fraction. We don't need to put a decimal and divide it out. We can just do the remainder out of 36 as our fraction. Okay, number 2 tells us that an aquarium is shaped like a rectangular prism. So the prism is 24 1/4 inches long. It goes back 12.5 inches, and then it goes up 20 inches. So what is the volume? So length times width times height. So we need to make these improper. So 24 times 4, go ahead and do that. So there's 16, 8, 9, 96 plus 1 more is 97 out of 4. And then 12 times 2 is 24 plus 1 is 25 out of 2. And 20 over 1. So I don't think there are any nice numbers. So 2 can't go, oh, we can do these 2. Oh, there are some nice numbers. So I'm actually going to make my 4 a little bit smaller. I mean, it won't matter which one I do. So I'm going to use my 4 and my 20. So 4 goes into 20 5 times, and 4 goes into 4 1 time. So now I can do 97 times 25 times by 1, and then we're going to divide it by 2, because 1 times 2 is 2, times 1 is 2. So once I've done 97 times 25 times by 5, I divide that by 2, and that will give me the volume of my aquarium. Hey, number 3 says that Ray has 9 identical boxes to this one that is shown. What is the total volume all of the shoe boxes. So finding this one will give us 1, and then we'll need to do 9 of those. So here we can see our length is 12.5. So I'm going to make those improper as I go. 2 times 12 is 24 plus 1 is 25 out of 2. And my width is 15.5. 15 times 2 is 30 plus 1 is 31.5. And 6/1. So I'm going to cancel these out. 2 goes into 2 one time and into 6 3 times. And looks like that's all I can do. So we're taking 25 times 31 times 3. And then 2 times 1 times 1 is 2. So once I have this number here, then I'm going to times that by 9. So my denominator is still 2. So 25 times 31 times 3 will go here. Then we're going to times that by 9 because I want 9 of those. Then we've got to still divide it by 2. So this found 1 shoebox, but I want 9 of those. And then that will tell us our final answer when I cut it in half, since we haven't done that. I could divide this out to start, but if it's not a nice whole number, which 5 times 1 is 5 times 3, I think it's going to end with a 5. I don't think it's going to go in there perfect. So let's just keep it improper, because we'd have to make it back improper to times it by 9 anyway. So just keep it improper until the very end and then convert it out. Hey, number 4 wants us to find the volume of this figure that is shown. So the length is 1/15. The width is 1/15. And the height is also 1/15. So we have a perfect cube here. Length times width times height. So they're already fractions. So 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. So we're going to do 15 times 15. And then times that by another 15 to find our denominator. And that will tell us our answer, 1 and something feet cubed, because we're still using 3 dimensions to find how much goes inside of this box. Number 5 wants us to find the volume here. So length is 35. Width is 70. And our height is 10/1. So 10 and 1/8. 10 times 8 is 80, plus 1 is 81 out of 8. So let's make these improper and put them over 1. So 8 can't go into 81 or 70 or 35 very nicely. So we're just going to keep it like that. So 1 times 1 is 1, times 8 is 8. So we need to do 35 times 70 times 81, and then divide that by 8. So since it gave us part of our problem as a fraction, we can give them our answer back as a fraction instead of a decimal. Just make sure you simplify it all the way. I can tell you a little hint here is that your final answer is going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places, and then it's going to be something out of 4. So something thousand and something out of 4 when you simplify. Okay, number 6, we've got this shape we're finding the volume of. So our length is 8.5, which is 16 plus 1 is 17/2. And our width is 1.5, so there's 2, 3.5. And it's out of 11/1. So notice 2 can't go into any of these because they're not even. So we're going to do 17 times 3 times 11 to get our numerator. So 2 times 2 is 4, times 1 is 4. Sorry, I added that one on. We're multiplying. So 17 times 3 times 11. 2 times 2 times 1 is 4. So whatever your numerator is, divide it by 4. That will tell you your final answer. And since it gave it to us in fractions, we can keep our answer as fractions. So your remainder, so when we do this, we take this number, right? And we'll divide it by 4. This is our whole number. Your remainder is going to be your numerator out of 4. So whatever our remainder is, it's something out of 4. Hey, number 7, some smaller numbers, that's good. Find the volume of this figure. So the length is 1.5. The width is 1.5. And the height is 1. Oh, I love when we get to times by 1. That's my favorite number. So we just need to do 1.5 times 1.5. Remember, it's going to have 2 decimal places. And that will be our final answer because when we times it by 1, it will be the same thing there. Number 8 says that, I think I skipped part of the question here. So it says, Anton is filling a fish tank with water. What volume of water does he need? So we can see the length is 50. And I can see fractions, so I know I'm going to have to make them improper. And the width is 15 inches. And then our height is 25.5. So 2 times 25 is 50 plus 1 is 51 out of 2. So we can simplify a little here. 2 goes into 2 one time. So which number is divisible by 2? That's 50 since it's even. So when I cut that in half, it is 25. So now, right, we just have ones on the bottom. So 25 times 15 times 51 will tell us what the volume of water is that he needs. Number 9, what is the volume of 1 jug of drinking water? So here's our length, and here's our width, and here's our height. So we just multiply the numerator, multiply the denominator, and that gives us our volume in feet cubed. Number 10 wants to know the percent. 42 is 60% of what? So when we're doing percent, we put our part on the top, total on the bottom. So 42 is 60% of what? So 42 is 60. So 60 is a part of 100. 60% is always out of 100. Since 60 is a piece and it says 42 is 60, that means they're equal. So we're going to put 42 on the top as well of what? So we're looking for the total here. So we're going to do 100 times 42, and then we're going to divide by 60 to see what the total was to get 60%. They only had 42 correct. Okay, number 11 tells us that Tyrell buys an organizer for his baseball cards that costs $12.99. He can add pages to the organizer to hold the cards, and each page costs $2.75 and holds 9 cards. So he had to start and he had to buy the organizer, which was $12.99. So it's like his binder. Then he's going to add on pages. So each page is $2.75. So here's the binder. Here's a page, and a page holds 9 cards. If Tyrell has 100 cards, how much will it cost him to organize them? It wants us to write and solve a numeric expression. So we need to write the problem, then solve it. So I know that if he only buys 9, that's not going to be enough to hold 100 cards. So the first thing we need to do is we need to see how many pages he needs. So go ahead and do 100 divided by 9. So it goes in there one time and one time. And I know there's going to be a remainder And if he only buys 11 pages, let's see, right? There's going to be one card left over. How do you think that poor card would feel if you only bought 11 pages and could only fit 99 of your cards in? It's just out all by itself, all sad. So instead of just buying 11 pages, we really want to buy 12 of these to fit all of his cards. So he has to buy the binder. So he has to start with $12.99. And then he's going to add on 12 of these. So we're going to do 12 times 2.75, and that will tell us our total. So I'll let you go ahead and finish that. So we're going to do 12 times 2.75. Don't forget your decimal. And then add on 12.99. Remember, when we add decimals, you need to line up your decimals. When we multiply, you just move it. But when we add, we need to line everything up, and that decimal will come straight down. So go ahead, and so here's our expression. And then you need to solve it or evaluate it and see how much money he's going to spend. Okay, last problem here is number 12. It tells us that Greg has a goal to read 529 pages of a book in 6 days. The number of pages he read on the first 3 days is given here. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Write and solve an equation that tells us how many pages Greg has left to read. So first we need to know how much he's read. So what would we do to find out his total so far? So we are going to add these together. So adding up our pieces. And here's his goal. This is how much he has left. So we're going to do this first. So I'm going to put parentheses around that. And his goal is to read 529 pages. So I know if I add on the pages he has left, that total should equal 529. So see if you can figure out how many pages Greg still has left to read. So one easy way is just to get P by itself. So move this to the other side by doing the opposite to both sides. Hey, if you have any more questions on your homework, I know some of those were tricky with the fractions, but you guys can do it. I know it's a lot of work, but when you put your mind to it, you can do hard things. So let me know if you need any other help with those. And I think that's everything for today.